Hi everyone, Maria here, and welcome to Season 1 of GGUTTALKS, GGUTT, a podcast focusing on business and tech for good, experience design, and gut feelings.
How do you gain their trust as well when you go into these organizations where, they say we want to do something, but sometimes it's just for the sake of it or to look good or to feel good, but in actual fact, there's this kind of resistance and friction to work with you, but also to go to, after, you do what you need to do, and then to actually start applying and making changes?
I don't know. I mean, if you have any tips and tricks, please tell me.
I think it's different each time. I mean, there's no one recipe and there's no, one way, but it's lots of, human psychology as well and behaviors and trying to get them on your side, that you're not here to teach them or tell them what to do, because they would know what to do, but it's just facilitating the process in a certain way. But I'm curious about your
we have a client that we work with in Germany, and we've worked with them since last May, basically, give or take. The project in itself is supposed to end, give or take about right now, except it can't because we're in the middle of COVID, which has sort of made everything a little bit more complicated. But, that's life. And there, the thing is that everybody sort of, at the end of the day, everybody sort of knows what the right thing to do is, except the way the organization is organized and the incentives for half the staff is organized, doing the right thing is not doing the right thing for themselves. So that's sort of one problem, and trying to get that to be reorganized ends with corporate politics, where people are saying one thing to your face and then doing the other thing behind your back. And it's in that situation that if you're from an outsider, in the beginning, you have actually more credibility. But at some point, as an outsider that's been there for a long time, you end up being sort of part of the system. And then trying to maintain your independence becomes incredibly hard. And I'd say, in some situations, you trying to get over that hump it is really, really hard. But once we get the first small steps implemented and people can actually see that they have an understanding of cause and effect, they can literally remember, okay, we talked about this. Now, half a year later, we actually did something and something is really changing. That's when you get them to buy in. But if it's an organization that's hierarchical, which it tends to be in Germany, and all those things, in the meantime, you drink a lot, basically, just to maintain your own sanity. It is very complicated. And the bigger the organization and the more, rigid it is, the worse, or not the worse, but the more challenging it is to get regular people to accept that there can be a change. And the thing is also, they've seen it before. Change initiatives happen every 6 months anyway. So they've heard this story before. You just have to sort of prove to them that this is not a story. We're actually doing something.
Yeah, two things here actually to tap into, because once I was doing user research in Paris, and like one of the meetings was in in one of the resellers. I'm not going into details, and as soon as I crossed the door and went inside, the guy was like, hello, welcome, how are you? Oh, those consultants, they come to us all the time. Nothing changes. You're wasting our time again. And that was like I think he went on for about 10 minutes. And then we managed to get to the meeting room, and then he started again. It was a bit, and then you're like, you know what? You kind of understand not because you want to understand, but because it happens, because it's just the way it is. And it makes me think of another thing as well. So let's jump into those two things. The first one is, today, with these titles of, service designer, design thinker, whatever you want to name it, it's just buzzwords as well that, anyone can stick on their LinkedIn profile. Some people try as well to say, we're doing this. So already selling it or using specific processes, but also creating them, can lead into, not great results, which would kill the trust that you might have with a certain client only because this client's been through it with someone else and so on. So what's your take on that? On using titles to get jobs, but also maybe achieving in different way or not achieving? I don't know if you get where I'm coming from.
I mean, when I was working in Sweden, I actually went and trained a company that on their website said that did service design. I'm working with an IT company right now that also has service design as part of their portfolio. But it sort of creates this, dissonance in your head that, okay, what are we talking about? Why you're hiring me if you have this, department? But it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, for anything that isn't, quantitative, you'll always have people that, say things that are more or less bullshit. But
I like how you put it.
It's just that's the way the world is. At the end of the day, it's still we build our brands or our reputation one job at a time, and at some point, there are people you want to pay a lot of money to because they get results, and others that just create hot air.